Okay, so I know I haven't made a video in kind of a while, but I have gone through a lot of different things in the past few days, and I'm so excited to share it right now. So, oh wow. So I was just watching a little video on Zecharia Sitchin, and when my mom passed away, that was one of the books, one of the little gems that she had left out in the open. And I know that me and my mom have like this super strong connection. So I was like, And it seems that no matter what I read, no matter what I look at, no matter how old or far away or whatever that information was discovered, I seem to have this innate ability to find the truth in all of it. I don't know why I have that, but it just seems to be. And I see it in my everyday world. So, okay. So Zecharia Sitchin always talks about, like, planets, and he talks about all the ancient alien truths and our ancient discoveries back in the day. And I'm really into that kind of stuff. And my medium in Sedona, Arizona, she told me the last time I visited her that I was someone from a certain time period that just that was like this archaeologist or this discoverer, and I wasn't really super duper popular, but she said that whatever it was that I discovered changed a lot of it changed the world as we know it. And I think I realized that I have lived so many past lives, or, well, that too, I'm sure, but it's like no matter where I seem to look or whatever it is I'm interested in, I connect immediately because I see something. I see something immediately. I picture it in my head, and I get this wave of feeling through me, and my cells, they start tingling, and it's like, whoa. It just relaxes me in a way where I feel like I have discovered something so gigantic. I have to share it. So what I pictured in my mind, they kept saying moon pool and moonscape, and they keep telling me that I am like a power grid. I'm in the center, and I am a part of the power grid. And I think about distance, and I think about time, and I think about Einstein's theory of relativity, and I think I just put something really huge together. I think about, so I noticed that uh, these tetrads, these moon cycles, I have never been so in tune with these moon cycles um, since 2008 is when I actually started to really cycle as a woman, and I never really had a true cycle before, but it seemed like August 2008, bam, that's when I started cycling. So I really kind of tend to pay attention to that because it was such a dramatic change in my body. And um, I was watching this video, and it was these pictures of Sumerian texts. I think it was Sumerian. It doesn't really matter. And it's like these rolling tablets, kind of. It's like where you just get some Play-Doh and you smooth it out, and then you take these ancient tablets, but they're like cylindrical in form, and you roll them over the Play-Doh, and it creates this imprint on there, so that no matter what, you can always remake it like a printing press. And inside, like in the picture, it showed this it's like a bubble. It looks like a bubble, like a flat space right here, and then a bubble, and then like a bubble under, well, it didn't show that, but I can see a 3D picture in my mind when I see like just a two-dimensional figure. And then I saw these, here, I'll just go like this, and it's like, like a star. And I had actually seen that uh, in the sky, and it was like the suns, like the five sons of God, or the five suns. There's like an actual mythology on that, and I was like, And then I remember the other text, the Bible, said something about a morning star, and I keep making all these connections, and I realized that that picture and that ancient tablet is, it's like they're all saying the same thing. And I keep looking at the moon and the moon pool, and I'm like, I feel like the moon really, since it comes at night, it's like this dreamscape. It really is like a dreamscape. And my whole cycle changes. My sleep cycle has changed to where I am awake at night and I sleep during the day. And I always feel like I am taking these pieces. I'm taking everyone's dreamscape, or I'm taking, yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. It's like when we dream about things, they're like memories. And they seem so erratic because they're just so many memories all at once. And it's almost as if I stay awake at night and I piece things together. And then I sleep during the day. And it's almost like my dreams piece in other people while they're awake. It's like this awesome duality of night and day, because I see so many changes. But I don't know, there's got to be a connection there. So what I was realizing before I decided to make this video is that because they keep telling me about, like, I feel intuitively that my cycle is changing again. My menstrual cycle is changing again. And it's made a lot of changes just this year. And I really pay attention to that because I'm so in tune with nature and the cosmos, and I talk about it all the time. And it's so whenever I feel something, I'm like, what else is going on here? And I keep feeling like the moon keeps getting closer. Like, I see it as getting closer, but I'm also feeling it in my body. And like when I feel something, I know something's up. So I try to like really, sit and try to figure that out. And what I realize is that what I think it is that women have these cycles. And, it's every 28 days, every 30 days, whatever it is. And I made a connection with time and distance. And, the Adam and Eve story. What I feel is that we all have like this masculine feminine balance. We all have this. And I feel super androgynous. I've always felt like I've got this feminine spirit, but I also feel like a child, and I also feel like a boy. It's like I don't really feel like one or the other, because I also feel like an animal just because I'm so in tune with my senses. So it's almost like I embodied something. I embody personally something that I feel is in every single human being. Because I feel totally comfortable like this because I feel like I can see from different perspectives all the time. And I think what I realize is that just by remembering, because I always wondered about the perception of time and the perception of memory, because we only know time because of memory. We remember something from a certain time in your life, and you say, oh, that's when I was this young. But if we didn't have memory, today would just be another day. So really, it is all relative. It's like that whole, Einstein's theory of relativity. When you remember something, we don't have to look at it as a long time ago. It's just a memory. It's a memory of something. So what I think is, all these changes are happening because we are making connections. We're making connections with something. I don't have to look at it as a separate life. It's a memory. That's what it is. It's just a memory. There is no real time. Timeline is just a memory line. These bloodlines, these whatever is in our genetic code. I can feel my cells getting all excited. Whatever it is about the memory and making a connection to that memory, you're not going back in the past. You're remembering something that we all have inside of us. Because how in the world can I make connections and see something that I haven't actually seen yet? It's a memory. How could I possibly do that if it didn't exist at one point? So this whole Adam and Eve story about this coming out of this person, a rib created Eve, is like a time and a distance. So it's like this perception of space. We create this gap because we see this separation. However, it's just perception. It's really just perception. Because the moon, okay, so Adam and Eve. Eve came out of Adam, and we notice that men and women have different cycles, different things going on. Puberty, whatever it is. But it's the perception of that. It's the perception that made distance. It's like just by thinking that something was separate, our eyes made that connection. So we see what we perceive. Because I keep saying, in my other videos, I talk about things getting closer, and I'm like, oh, it's like it's coming down towards me. And there's lots of ancient texts, you know, like the Bible, talking about the stars will fall down and the water receded from the ark, and, you know, the days of the end will be like the days of Noah. And I'm like, everything seems like it's coming together, and it's because my perception is changing my eyesight. I don't perceive things as being far away, because it's the memory that unlocks that, and it changes my eyesight, because the connection of that feeling that I get when I know something, when you just have, that's an epiphany. That's the definition of genius, is to be able to see something immediately and not have to work out the problem. I didn't have to work out any problems. It's like there are no problems. There is just, that's what makes me think of like past, present, future coming together, is like there are no problems. You don't have to work anything out. We intuitively know, and we look at something, and we you know, to be able to judge somebody or judge our governmental system and say, oh, that doesn't feel right. Oh, come on, that's not even right. That you know, it shouldn't be like that. That's perception. We know intuitively how things should be. So we immediately know the right and wrong duality, because we know intuitively this is not what it should be. And that closes the gap of time, because there is no time. It's our perception. We know. We all know what it should be and what we really want. And what we really want is what is really here. It's believing that, because it's like, it's almost as if imagination is the total truth. Oh wow, this is crazy. So, going back to the moon, I get so off track, but it's not off track. So it's like my cycle. I feel personally like my cycle is like, I'm only 31 now, and I feel like I barely started, you know, my cycle, what, like 7 years ago? And it's like, I feel as if my cycle is almost over, because it changes. It's only like a couple of days or whatever. And I think what it is that I realize we are not separate from the moon. The moon is not far away. It simply is not far away. And I see it with my eyeballs, because I know intuitively that this is a big truth. And so my cycles change so easily, because my perception of distance is just not what we thought it was. Not at all. The perception of distance. We close the gap by just remembering. Just remembering. Because wow, okay. I feel like I knew something and it started this whole thing. The perception of time perception of time is only the perception of distance. So everyone's cycle, but women feel changes. I mean, we both feel changes, but I feel like by being a female, I can put two together because I notice change in my body immediately. I am so in tune with my body. And my body is this physical plane. And this world that we know it is a physical plane. So it's like when my mind pictures something and I know something and it doesn't make sense per se, but it's like I know there's something big in that. I then make a change in my body that goes back to the way it has always been. It's always been. This is a grand truth, and I feel it in my whole body. It's the perception. It's all about perception. I feel like what I was picturing with that disc, and it's like when I think about that thin disc, like a CD or a CD or a DVD or whatever, it's like when I pictured that and that piece in the middle, and I even created that with the energy as I was watching it move, it's like the same picture that I 3D created in my brain, which is already there. How else would I picture that? It's already somewhere in the timeline, in the perception, in the time, like it's like that picture in Sumeria. Because it's like we're on this, they keep telling me I'm on the middle plane. I'm on the middle plane and I'm able to see both sides, so I can make the connections immediately. And as soon as I figure it out, I gotta share it, because they said that since I'm connected to the power grid, and since I'm in tune with the earth, I'm in tune with the spiritual realm, it's like I literally send all that information everywhere. The earth responds immediately. Like whenever I watch something or I think about something, and it's like, you know, that epiphany moment where you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Even my voice gets deeper. And it's like, it's like that video that I made about the mountains and how I resonate. I felt that in a dream where it was like this, like this super deep voice, this super deep plane. And it's like the bowels, it's like the bowels, but it's more than just the bowels. The bowels are a great truth. It connects you it grounds you. And I realized so much about sound because even my hearing is getting greater and greater. And I really experience it the most at night. And I think it's because most people are sleeping at night. I'm literally seeing and hearing and visualizing and feeling. I don't know. Maybe that's why I make so much connection at night. It's because everybody's dreaming memories that don't make sense to immediately, but I can somehow pick that up and I make sense of it. And what's awesome is that we all have this ability. We all have this ability because we're all the firsts. We're the first and the last and everything in between. We're everything. That's why we have all these dreams and we have all these memories and all these feelings, and we're all experiencing change. We are all part of this. This is like, my cells are fizzing right now. So it's like, I feel like just by realizing that memory, that the moon is not far away at all, that it is getting closer, it's like my perception of distance is closing that gap by knowing intuitively that it's like we're inside of it. Science keeps talking about this holograph universe and this holograph reality. And I remember, 11 years ago when I really started seeing spirits. I kept seeing a lot of holographic pictures. Holographic. This holograph. And it's like holograph. Like, we don't even have anything to fear because it is holographic. We see changes immediately because we are in the center. We're in the center, and it's like all the okay, sorry. So all these planets, right? We see us. You got this planet. You got the sun, and they keep telling me I'm like the sun. Well, it's like I'm all these things, right? But I'm in the center, so I'm able to pull it all together. So it's like I'm the sun, okay? And this is all of us, because we all got like little planetary systems in our body, because the smaller is the bigger and everything else. So you got the sun, and then you got the concentric rings, right? Like rings on a tree. You can see how old something is. But it's not age. It's not age. So you got the sun, and then you got the rings, and then you got like the different planets on their separate little ring. Dude, there is no difference. There's no distance. It's the perception. So the reason why we're seeing immediate changes in our actual physical reality is because they pass through like a hologram. Maybe that's why I feel the fizz stuff, because it moves on in. Okay. So you've got the earth in the center. Okay? I'm just going to use that. Because, well, okay, you got the sun, right? So then the earth, my body, when I feel something, it's like, I know intuitively we're in the center of this. Somehow we're in the center of it. But it's a hologram. Because, I don't know why exactly yet. But what I picture is you got the earth, and then you got the sun, but you've also got the moon. You've also got the moon. The moonscape, the dreamscape, the moon pool. All these things are coming together now, and I think I'm understanding that there's like a sheath, right? And then you got like another sheath. And then it's like, I know intuitively that these planets are somehow coming together to create one awesome scene. So it's like when just by realizing it, it's happening. It's so happening. So it's like when people see these waves of possibilities and these waves of change, it's because we're literally feeling this wave of the hologram. It goes over our bodies, and I think that's why when I realize truth, my cells fizz up. They're fizzing right now, because I am literally feeling the hologram of a grand truth come through me by that realization. By remembering, it says, okay, cool, we can come on in. Because, it's like they don't want to freak us out. They want it to be gradual. But there's a reason why my body feels it. It's because we are this concentrated matter. We are this concentrated thing. But we still feel spirits move through us, this hologram of truth move through us, because our cells pick it up. Our cells pick up that. And it's not uncomfortable. It feels awesome. So it's like when I realize something, it moves through me, which lets my cells know, so that I know something changed. And that's the reason why DNA and the little stuff, whatever's inside of us, that's the reason why we're seeing leaps in science. We're seeing leaps in the genetic body. We are going to see so much happen so soon. Because when my cells change, other cells change. It's just like the neurons in a brain. This earth, this field that we live in. When one realizes it, all realizes it. All realizes it. So it's not like everyone's got to do all this research or anything else. It's like we can, because it's so exciting. I am so excited to be able to see my physical reality happen when I feel a wave of truth. It's a tsunami, but it's not a scary tsunami. It's this beautiful memory that can finally come back and say, yay, you remembered. Our memory is so powerful. It stops this timeline. And it doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with death. It's just a memory. Whoa. We perceive people as dying because we feel separate. Wow, this is like so amazing. And that makes sense as to why I kept making connections as life and death. But I know intuitively that atoms, they don't stop moving. Nothing ever stops moving. So it's like you don't see it die. You see it transform into something else. Maybe because they realized something. They totally realized something. And so they made connections. So when we start making connections, all of us on a grand scale will see that nothing ever died. We're all right here. We're all right here, right now. Wow. This is so big. But it's so important that I went through what I went through. And so it's so important that we all see these things. Because we're going to see less and less of the things that we don't like and don't want because our perception is changing just by one person realizing this. Things are getting so much better and things are being uncovered because we are remembering. And it's like when you remember something, don't push it out. Just look at it, look at the two sides of it. If it makes you uncomfortable, then try to look at its dual opposite. Because by looking at the two, by looking at life and death, I can see in the middle that I know the truth is nothing dies. Because we see atoms, and even if they split, it doesn't matter because there's all kinds of stuff in the middle that's so tiny we can't see it. So we know intuitively that nothing actually dies. And energy, the law of energy says that nothing can be destroyed. It just transforms. It just moves around and rearranges to look like a hot dog or a cannoli or an eclair. They're all the same, a similar structure. It's just rearranging to look like something else, to taste like something else. They're frequencies. That's all food is. They are frequencies, and they're meant to be played with, and they're meant to be taken in, and then that way you can imagine. My cells just fizzed again. You can imagine what you're eating. These are possibilities that you are taking in. Whew, this is so amazing. You are taking in possibilities by accepting that everything, these are all frequencies, and they're meant to be played with. That's what I see all around me when I was playing with energy, and I see so much more now. Oh, and water. I'm so excited. Water. There is something about water, something in the water, and they keep telling me that because I keep making this, the H2O, like, I don't know why, but that's always in my mind, and I always make connections with something like that. I don't understand it on a grand scale completely, but a couple days ago, I like rainbows, and I don't know if you can see that. You see that right there? It's like little rainbow flecks around it. I love rainbows. Love rainbows. And I realized something about water, right? So whenever it rains, and it's sunny outside, you see a rainbow. So we know the possibilities behind water when we see light and water together. We see that possibility of all that color. And I keep saying to Spirit, I'm like, man, it would be so cool. It would be so cool if people just saw so much color, because we would be so in love with what we're seeing. Our eyesights. We'd be so in love with what we're seeing, everything would stop. Time would just stop. It would just cease because we'd be like, this is amazing. Why am I even doing this here? Why am I even doing that here? I could just enjoy all this stuff. So last night, well, actually two nights ago, I started drinking water. So what I saw before were these outlines. I think I said on one of my videos that I know something's moving around, but it was like pixelated black and white kind of, you know? It's like I could kind of make out some color, but not very well. But the more I drink water, and I'm not saying like chug it, you gotta enjoy it. Like, take a sip, let it sit in your mouth. You notice that when you let something sit in your mouth, your saliva actually mixes with that water, and it feels thicker. It feels smoother, actually, when I think about it. It feels like what I described about the solution that's like around us. That's what it feels like. So it's like when you drink that, well, when I drank that, I noticed so much at night. Last night, just by drinking water, it's like I see, not total rainbows, but I see so much color. I could already see infrared. I can already see so much color. Like little flecks. I can literally see the flecks of my cat, Valentino. He's black. But I know intuitively as a child, whenever I would draw with black ink, I could see that there was like a purple and a blue and a red. Like, I can see those colors in ink. So I know there's more than just black. Black absorbs all the light. So it's like concentrated light. I feel like our perception of byproducts of feces, that is, I know it's crazy to talk about, but it's concentrated light. There is so much beauty in everything when you just look at it in a frequency, a true science. There is a true science in frequency. There is nothing evil or gross about going to the bathroom. That is concentrated frequency. And they keep talking to me about things coming back around. Everything comes back to you. And we see it as something negative most of the time. But what I'm realizing is that I kept wondering about, like, the byproduct. It goes into the earth. And we always use manure to, like, make plants, right? So, I mean, we're literally eating the byproduct. Now, why does it create something so beautiful and so colorful and magical? Because it's concentrated frequencies. And we lay it's like a rainbow. We literally lay a rainbow on the soil. We add water, we add light, water, light. And the byproduct. That is so much beauty that we literally create possibilities. That's why fruit is so colorful. That's why vegetables are so colorful. It's because we take our own byproducts, whether it's a cow, it doesn't really matter what the manure is. It doesn't matter, because it is all this concentrated rainbow frequencies that seeps into the roots. The roots bring it up, and it adds in the light and the water, and it creates all of our possibilities. That is so amazing to me. That's so amazing. If you just look at it as one thing, you can make you're just conclusive about it. And so we just run with it. We got to change that. It's got to be changed, because the truth is in the frequency. Science, it doesn't lie. It's a way we're looking at it. And I'm quite certain that just by me realizing this and sharing it, big change. Big, awesome, beautiful change. Just by realizing that the concentrated truth just had to be remembered. That's it. That's all. And then you got to just look at your world around you and say, yeah, I dig this. That's why you got to glorify. That's why you got to give thanks. That's why you got to... And you don't have to say it all the time. It always helps to say it, because, people like to hear it and stuff. But I know that when I just go outside and I look at the sky and I look at all these changes just by realizing something, I'm like, I can hear Spirit saying, you don't even have to say it. We can tell by your face and the way your cells are fizzing. We know that you see something awesome. And we, it infuses them with the same spirit. it infuses them with the same feeling, because it's like this, what is that called? Positive reinforcement. Because I make a connection and they say, okay, right on. So they create it, and then I see it and they're like, yay, we did something good. It's like you're literally glorifying your children, your cellmates, your cellmates all over the place. You literally tell them, you did something awesome here. Thank you so much. Just by a smile, anything. By a realization, by remembering it. Oh, that feeling. And then you're now working together in sequence. You know, these frequencies of seemingly opposite come together, and you move together because they see, okay, good, I did the right thing. So instead of having to change your mind from here to there, you just see one side and then the other side. And by realizing that the two actually come together, you can see the whole spectrum. You see the whole spectrum of possibilities, and it's so beautiful. And by realizing that true science, it changes your whole body structure. And that's why I notice huge changes in my hearing, in my eyesight, in my body. My everything changes because you remember. Wow. That's why my eyesight keeps changing, because I know there is great truth in all that. It is the truth. It is the truth, period. I'm not figuring stuff out like I'm creating it. All I'm doing is remembering what's always been there. And that's why these ancients, you know, they seem, we think about it like we're de-evolving, because they seem like they were just so smart, and we are like, it's a memory. I am not really creating anything. All I'm doing is remembering. That's all I'm doing. There's nothing that hasn't been thought before. These are all memories of the beginning. That's why it's like the end and the beginning. We see it as like it all stops, but in reality what that means is that this all comes together. That's it. This is like the biggest, most awesome moment in history. Right? This is the most amazing point in history, because all we had to do is remember the science. There's no separation of spirit and body. There's no separation of all the planets. There's no separation. There's no distance. That is just what we thought it was. So by thinking that, our perception, our eyesight changed. Our occipital lobe. And that's probably the reason why I got this frequency tattoo. I don't even... Can you see that? Right here. That's probably why I got that. Because every time I realize something, I feel it right here. And it shoots up and down my spine. Because my occipital lobe... Wow, that's... And then the tattoo here, it's like my spine and my central nervous system makes some sort of connection with that, and it changes my occipital lobe, which is also the instinctual, the balance, all of that stuff. So it shoots right up here, and I can see it, and I feel it in my body. Everything changes by aligning the system. That's amazing. And that's why I feel that, and that's why I can see that. That's why everything comes together. That's why I see and feel, and that's why things are changing so rapidly, is because of a memory. Just a memory. Whoa. Yeah, so try to pay more attention to your body and what you feel. Try to look at something, and then if something doesn't feel right about it, try to see the other side of it. And always remember that frequencies. We know that black absorbs. We know that white reflects. But they're just polars. Okay? So there's something in the middle there. That's putting it together and realizing that it's really the same thing. Amazing. Okay, that's all I have to share for now.